Hey, good morning, everyone. So I am just waking up and I have had some time to myself to meditate on Good Friday. And when I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking about how Christ suffered for us so that we can have eternal life. And how does this fall into context of abortion? I wanted to get creative with this and talk about this. So, my last video, I was talking about the pain of abortion. And, one thing I was thinking about when I listened to Eric Clapton's song, Tears in Heaven, is one aspect of my abortion. I was in the car, and when I was in there, we had left a restaurant, and I shared my whole story in other videos. Basically, it was cold, it was chilling, it was an awful, not your regular abortion. It was an awful situation with it, with everything surrounding it. So not only was I shamed and then, brought to a clinic without even knowing what an abortion was, no informed consent, no idea what was going to happen, which I shared in my other video. When your body's being invaded and assaulted and you don't even know what's happening with forceps and everything, the vacuum, it's pretty scary. And one of the things that happened is after I was dilated, I was brought to a restaurant to go out to eat, and I didn't know what was happening to my body, and I couldn't even sit up. I couldn't even sit up in the restaurant. And a waitress asked me, she asked the person I was with, is she okay? And she said, yeah, she's fine. And I could not, I could barely move with the pain. So, we went from there, the bill was paid, and I was brought into the car. And, I've seen some awful things on TV. You see these murder mysteries and stuff. One of the worst things I have ever seen in my life is, Charlie Manson. I think his whole story was absolutely sick and disgusting. But we don't talk about abortion where it's totally barbaric. If you think of the psychological aspects of it, it may not be at that same level of him. They took Shannon Tate and basically, cut her stomach and stole her baby. Totally disgusting. But psychologically, this was an attack on her, and psychologically, when abortionists are doing these kind of things, they are attacking the woman and they're attacking the baby. And I remember being in the car and not understanding what was going on, and the reality of it is my baby was being killed and nobody was helping me. I was totally helpless, and that's an awful feeling, being totally helpless, like feeling like you cannot do anything. So that was an awful situation. I had nobody in that time to help me. No one. I could not cry out. I had to take it. I couldn't do a thing. And when I think about Good Friday here, and I would encourage women in this, if you have dealt with this kind of thing and this injustice and the pain of abortion, the best thing I can say to you is, as you heal, is to frame it in the gospel. Frame it that way, because that's going to help you. Although this is horrific and barbaric abortion, no one has suffered as much as Christ. Nobody has ever suffered like he did, and he did his Father's will. It was meant to be. He did what he was supposed to do. And when sometimes we think of being persecuted in life and having things happen and not saying a word, just like Jesus didn't say a word, but when you are facing evil, you do want to say something, okay? You do want to say it's not okay. Um, Jesus was in God's will there. There was a purpose to it. There's no purpose to abortion. There's no sense of it. It's evil, disgusting, it's wrong. But as you heal from it, you want to frame it in the gospel and realize that Christ was on that cross and nobody helped him. Nobody, not only did no one help him, but they mocked him and they beat him. And, the nails were not small nails, they were huge nails. And I just don't understand how these people were so cold hearted. They saw him, and here's a man suffering and God suffering, and they did nothing. They actually thought they were doing what was right. And many times you can think you're doing what's right with abortion and being totally wrong. You can think for so many reasons. Oh, you're too young, you can't afford a kid, you can't, the husband's not going to be there, the father won't be there. You can think you're doing the right thing and you're not. I can't imagine when I meditate on Good Friday what Jesus went through. This is such a sad time to me all the time, Good Friday, and then by Easter there seems to be like the sun, not always, but a lot of times the sun will come out, and I just feel like the victory Christ had on the cross, just, that outshines so much of the suffering he went through. And same with us with healing from abortion. That dark time in your life can be healed. It can be used for your good. And so I'm just saying, frame that and remember that a lot of times when you go through a hell, basically, you don't know why, you don't know the reason for it exactly, but you can use it to try to be more Christ-like. You can forgive those who used you, betrayed you, mistreated you. You can forgive. You can be also in a place where you are experiencing, even as a Christian, you're experiencing some of the suffering that is like what Jesus went through. I mean, no one is going to ever suffer like he did, but you can experience in that suffering. You can, I thought, that helpless feeling, is insane when a woman is having her children, her child killed, and nobody is helping. And not only not helping, but you have somebody in the car with you, and it's cold and it's chilling, and they're just watching, and they know, and they're watching you suffer, and they're watching your child die. I mean, it's really sick. They're not even helping you. There's no call for an ambulance. There's no call for help. There's no call. You're just sitting in there, and you're taking it instead of screaming for someone to help you and to help your baby who's dying. It's an awful feeling. And try to, for women who do want to heal, try to frame that in the context of the gospel, that Jesus suffered, and there's no one who will suffer in the same capacity as Christ did. So that's what I think of today with Good Friday, and not just that about abortion, but there's so much to Good Friday, but in the aspect of abortion, think about Christ knows, God knows. Sometimes we think, where was God? Where was he during this? And I know for me, I knew there was I had, some knowledge that there was a God somewhere out there, but he was there. And then when you get into the details of, wait a minute, he actually saw that. He actually knew that they were doing this. He actually saw every single part of this. And you have to think, where was God? Why wasn't this stopped? Why was this allowed? Why is abortion allowed? And you have to be able to, realize that sometimes, God not only sees it, but he also grieves about it. So I'm going to stop there, and that's my take on Good Friday.